Peace be upon those who are rightly guided. My name is Mikhail Abdurrahman for some people. I was raised in New Hampshire. I converted to Islam in 1987. Life before Islam, I was raised in a foster home of Catholics, um, good parents, good structure. Um, I was sent there when I was 3 years old. I uh, we were Catholics. We went to the Catholic Church. One Sunday morning, um, we were walking to church around the corner, around the block, and my foster mother surpassed the crosswalk, as we usually do to go to the Catholic Church. And I said, "Mom," I said, "where are we going? Are we going to, church?" She goes, "Yes, we're going to church, but this Sunday we're going to the Baptist church." And I said, "Why are we going to the Baptist church? I thought we were Catholic." And she said that, well, I heard of a new young minister, Bert Howe, nice, good speaker, blah, blah, blah. So, granted, the old Catholic priest in the Catholic Church was, his temperament was cross, and he was a little bit, boring, but I always tried to sit straight up in church and behave and be respectful. But anyway, it came to my mind that my mother or my foster mother did not know where the truth lies, because I thought that you do not change churches because you like someone who speaks better. And I was about 11 years old at this time. Around that time, uh, and before that, a few times I had a dream, and the dream was identical. I was sitting in the desert. Uh, the time was at between, I would say, I was after sunset, but it was still light out, not quite dark. And there was a tent with two poles, fire, and an old man, long white beard, just as an Arab, but I didn't really pay attention to that when I was younger. And he was saying something, he was speaking something to me. He was saying something. So I was listening to him very attentively, because for some reason I knew whatever he was saying was very important, but I could never understand what he was saying. And I had this dream a few times in my life. So some years went on. Our foster parents, I was in the home with my brother Adam and Dan. The foster parents were very open-minded. One day, some Mormon missionaries came knocking on our door, and for some reason, Mr. Sweet, my foster father, let them in. And they came a few times for the next few weeks to talk to us about that religion. And me and my brother Dan were interested in going to that religion. We had already experienced you know, some things in the Jehovah's Witnesses church, because one of their daughters, their real daughters, had invited us to the Jehovah's Witness church, which my brother Adam, continued uh, going there. And so interestingly enough, our foster father at the supper table, when Dan asked for him and I if we could start going to that church, the Mormon church, he said that we don't care which church you go to, as long as you obey the rules of the church. In other words, don't be a hypocrite, which was interesting when I think back on it. So I started going to that church, and to step back a little bit, my real father was alcoholic. He was abusive, and was one of the reasons why all the kids, 7 of us, got put in different foster homes. And I knew from what the Sweets told me and the social worker told me uh, about him, I had decided at a very young age that I would never drink alcohol. That's one of the things I liked about the Mormons. They were very clean cut. They didn't drink, they didn't smoke. Um, they tried to stay chaste until they were married. Um, so I liked that church. I thought this might be, the true church, because I was, ever since, like I said, my mother, I realized she didn't know where the truth lies, that I had to search for it myself. And another time, I don't know what time this was in my life. It was when I was below the age of 10. I thought at some point, for some reason, that I didn't want to go to hell. I wanted to go to heaven. And I thought to myself, in order to go to heaven, I have to obey God. In order not to, you know, in order to do that, I had to um, know His rules and laws. Excuse me. And to do that, I need to find, His true church at the time. So I was continuously searching for that. So nevertheless, we're in the Mormon Church. Everything seems good. But then it came to a question I had to me and my brother referred to them as the God Squad, like the Mod Squad, from the '70s show. So call them the God Squad for as far as the Mormon missionaries. So we're sitting down, we're having a lesson, and basically I asked them about the prophet they had today, because they believe they have a prophet until the day of judgment, and they have 12 apostles or 12 Sahaba or whatever. So I said, well, what, this guy, he looked like a businessman, three-piece suit, not very prophetic. I asked him what would happen if he died, this Spencer W. Kimball prophet. They said, well, the 12 apostles would get together and have council. I'm like, so they saw like some doubt in my face. So they started saying, well, they get together and pray and this and this and that. And I didn't say anything to them, but I said to myself, this sounds like a corporation. Like you're just stepping up the ladder. So I felt uncomfortable with that. And, because I thought to myself, God uh, sends and chooses prophets, not mankind. So I had a problem with that. So I did stay with the church for a while because they had a good youth group program, and our foster parents were very strict. That was the only way to get out of the house, to join the church group. So we went horseback riding and skiing and this and that. But anyway, eventually I left that church and went to a few different sects and denominations. And then the last church I went to was a born-again Christian church. And that church, I had some negative, experience in there. Human beings, they have their own personality, but there were certain nuances about the church that I didn't like. So that I said to myself at that point, I was 18. So at that point, I said to myself, you know what, I give up. I kind of was angry at God. I said, you know what, I'm a good human being. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't lie. Um, I love animals, I love nature. I'm a good person. Whatever happened on the day of judgment, let it happen. So basically, I left it at that. And a few months later, when I was in New Hampshire College, I met an Arab brother from United Arab Emirates named Mohammed Al Mazrui, and he was in my class, and he was different and dressed different than all of us, and the rest of the people, Americans, jeans and shirts and whatever, and he was dressed in what I thought to be very classy clothes, um, and something about him interested me, and I think that is a result of my foster father being, well, the front of the house was his front room, and it was like a library. So he had all these books, National Geographic, different things. So I was always interested in different cultures and different people, and so I had a relatively open mind, and I was good-hearted. They taught me to be very respectful of my elders. Yes, please, thank you. Open the door for elderly. And so they taught me good manners, and I had a pretty open mind, and I had a pretty good heart. So I thought about him. I said, this guy looks very interesting. Where is he from? So and one day I got upset because I know his English wasn't that good, and some of the American kids were making fun of the way he was dressed. So, so a few minutes went by and he sneezed. And I said, God bless you. He was sitting next to me that day. And I said, God bless you. And he said, thank you. And he smiled. And so I said, I'm going to, after class, I'm going to stay outside and introduce myself to him and, see what this guy is about. So he came outside and everybody else had left. And I was never into cars and stuff. I was always artist, always drawing and stuff like that. And but I was looking at this car, and I said, maybe it's his, maybe it's a teacher's, but it looks like a nice looking car, although I didn't know what kind of car it was. So he came out and I said, hi, how are you? And I said, what's your name? And he said, Mohammed. I said, like the boxer? And he says, yeah. I said, well, what country are you from? And he said, from the Emirat. And I had, you know, small town in New Hampshire. I have no idea where Emirat is. And he said, it's in the Gulf. And I said, I don't know what that is. He said, it's near Saudi Arabia. I said, oh, okay. So I said, uh, is that your car? And he says, yes, it's my car. I said, that's a nice little car. What kind of car is it? He said, a BMW. Right? I said, oh, that's a BMW. And he said, would you want to look at it? I said, sure. So he invited me over there, and we sat inside and we were looking at the car, and uh, he lit up a cigarette, and he asked me if I wanted to smoke, and I said, no, I don't smoke. He said, do you drink? And I said, no, I don't drink either. And he said, oh, you're the first American I met that doesn't drink or smoke. I said, oh, you've been hanging around bad Americans. But I said, it's a preference. But anyway, we started talking, and he thought I could help him with some of his English homework, and I obliged. And but so at that moment, he invited me out to eat, and so he offered me, but I said, I mean, in the back of my mind, I said I forgot my wallet at home because I ran to the house real quick. So, because in America, you say you want to go out to eat, everybody pays for themselves, and I had no idea he was an Arab or Muslim. I never heard the word Muslim. I never knew about the hospitality and the brotherhood and things like that. So I told him, I said, no, I'm going to go home to eat. He goes, no, come on, we'll go out, it's no problem. I said, well, actually, I forgot my wallet. He says, okay, I'll take care of it. I said, okay, you know. But back in my mind, I'm saying, why is this guy being so nice to me? Because I mean, generally speaking, not to speak for everybody, but generally speaking, in America, even best friends who go to church don't necessarily end up paying for each other, unless they're well-to-do or something like that. But generally speaking, so it's something odd. So something strange. So we went out, and we went to Burger King. I'll always remember how he said Wabr instead of Whopper, and asked for a sheikh and things like that. It was I liked his accent, but anyway, we decided that we are gonna get together Saturday and stuff like that. So he dropped me off at home. When I brought him to my apartment, I invited him up to show him my art portfolio because I had a big leather case of all my artwork. I used to draw all the X-Men and Iron Man and all that stuff, all that jazz. So uh, his reaction to my artwork was, at least to say, not very enthusiastic. Usually people are, very, very impressed. But I let it go. I said maybe it's foreign, or maybe something that they're not into it, whatever. So anyway, I think that was a Wednesday. Saturday, I called him up. He came to pick me up. We went back to his apartment, and I had recently got into, taekwondo. You know, and I always loved the Japanese culture where they take their shoes off at the door. So when we got to his apartment, he took his shoes off. And so, out of respect and liking the idea, I did the same. And we went into his apartment, and I saw a TV, but no furniture, nothing else, right? So I said, Mohammed, you have a BMW, you have no furniture? I thought he spent all his money on the BMW or something. He goes, no, I just been here for 30 days, haven't bought any furniture. So anyway, he let up what I experienced for the first time. It was Bakhur, and Bakhur was something that I always liked now to smell. I mean, he had the good stuff, the expensive stuff from the Gulf. And I always like the smell of that now because it reminds me when I first met the first Muslim. So anyway, so he lit it up and walked around the apartment, walked in his bedroom, put it under his clothes like this, and it was very interesting. So after he did that, he asked me if we, wanted to eat some breakfast or something. So we ate, and then we kind of started on this homework. And when we were through with that, um, uh, I told him, you know what? I said, I think I'm hungry. I think you're probably hungry. Let me treat him this time. So I, kind of repay him for treating me to Burger King. So I ordered a pepperoni pizza, large pepperoni pizza, and so the pizza came and everything, and he had eaten one or two slices, I don't remember, but he said, "What's this round thing?" You know, and I said, "It's pepperoni." He said, "What's it used for?" I said, "It's for crackers, hors d'oeuvres, sandwiches, subs, pizza." And he asked me what animal it's from. It's from the pig. He ran to the hammam, the bathroom, and I could tell he was vomiting or either making himself vomit. You could tell when someone's got their hands down the throat. So the first thing I thought was, oh my God, I did something terrible to this guy. You know, the way he ran to the bathroom, and at the same time, I was thinking, in America, if you don't like something, kind of just push it away and stop eating it. But nevertheless, he came into the bathroom, and I said, Mohammed, I'm so sorry. What's the matter? And he said, I can't eat anything from the pig. I said, really, why not? I'm sorry about that, but why not? He said, it's against my religion. And I said, well, I can't disrespect you. I can't eat any of this. He goes, no, go ahead. I said, no, I can't possibly eat this in front of you. So, but I said, I when he said Islam, no, he said it's against my religion. I said, what's your religion? What's the name of your religion? And he said Islam. And when he said Islam, I kind of got goosebumps. What is this Islam? I never heard this before. And he said, it's we believe in God is Allah and our prophet's Muhammad. And I said, Muhammad. So you have your prophet's name. Wait a minute, Muhammad Ali's a Muslim? Because being a white guy from a small town in New Hampshire, if I thought Muhammad Ali was an African name, you know. So although I watched the cartoons and watched the fights and this and that, so I said, well, tell me more, And he really didn't want to because he knew his English was bad. He didn't want to say anything wrong. So I said, well, do you know anybody else, anybody else around another Arab maybe who can speak better English, who can tell me more about it? And he said, yeah, I have a friend in the next building. They live in an apartment complex, rather nice one. And so he called this guy, and he didn't answer the phone. So he said, I said, can we go see him? So he said, okay. So we got our shoes on, walked outside, and walked toward the brothers' building. And as we were approaching, an Arab guy came out of the building. Looked like he just took a shower, and was ready to go someplace. So Muhammad introduced me to him as Michael. I used to go by MJ because Michael Jarrett, But I introduced myself as Michael. So he said to Nabil, his brother's name's Nabil Noah from Kuwait. Very, mashallah, very nice brother. He introduced him to me, and he said, Nabil Noah said, Michael in Arabic is Mikael. So we're going to call you Mikael. I said, that's cool. I like that, So, subhanAllah, he invited us in, and when, he was ready to leave, and, invited us into his apartment, gave me a Coke, gave me some cookies and tea, and at this point, I'm just getting to know Muhammad, and his character, and I'm thinking, this is my new best friend, because his character and his hospitality, and, so when when we were in Nabil's apartment, and he was being very hospitable and talking to me about Islam and gave me a pamphlet or a book. Oh yeah, he gave me a book called Islam in Focus. Excellent book. So I said, man, I started feeling guilty because I said, man, I want this guy to be my best friend too. This is nice. He's a good human being, And I like good human beings to be my friends, So, I finally broke out. I said, Nabil, I said, where are you people from? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're very, Muhammad's very hospitable. You're very hospitable. You just invite me into your apartment. You don't know me. you seem very, very nice people, And he said, this is our religion, And I said, wow. And I said, so he told me a little bit more about Islam, but he had to go someplace, so we let him go. And he gave me the book Islam in Focus. I went back, took it home with me, read it. And that book, um, the first thing it talked about was Tawheed, which, I already thought about that, already agreed with most of what it was speaking about, and basically confirming what I already believed. But when it got to talking and giving the description of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I never heard anybody give a description like this to Jesus, And I was open-minded enough to say to myself, well, wow, he sounds like a prophet. Sounds like a great prophet. Who am I to say he's not a prophet? Sounds like a prophet, So who am I to argue, But, I still hadn't really, Allah didn't really still give me hidayah at that point. But, I was agreeing and accepting of things. A week went by, and I actually had moved in with Muhammad. I moved out from the non-Muslims where I was living. And that coming Friday, the Arabs from the Gulf got together, and they had it was a social slash little gathering for, I think they give some tafsir or something, but nothing major. But they decided they're gonna invite me the following week. I guess they wanted to tell everybody about me first or something. I don't know. So the following week they invited me, and it was funny because when I approached the apartment, at Muhammad's apartment, there was only a couple shoes. But when I got to their apartment, there was like 20 shoes outside the door. I was like, man, someone's going to steal these, And you feel, you got to step over them, and it was quite odd, quite funny. But we went to the apartment, and, they bring these big platters, of rice, and there was two big platters. One, they put half a lamb there and half a lamb there, and they started eating with their hands, and they said, this is the way we eat. This is the way our prophet eat. And I said, okay. Someone offered me a spoon, but I said, no, I want to try it with my hands, although it was very hot in the beginning. I had to wait till it cooled down a little bit. But that was interesting. And then we finished eating. We went to wash our hands. We sat down. This apartment also had no furniture. And so some brothers, distributing, handing out tea. And, I saw how more people were coming in, to the apartment, and how Nabil was greeting them, and I thought about what I read and everything, and then Allah gave me hidayah. I said, man, this is it, this is the truth, and it's from the desert. But then I thought about, I said, well, so was Abraham and Moses and Jesus. They're all from that area, because Americans have kind of westernized or Europeanized, Christianity, almost made it into a Western religion versus a Middle Eastern religion, which originally what it was. So, which is interesting. I found out in the Chaldean Bible, the word for God is Allah, which is very interesting. But anyway, so there was an Arab guy sitting next to me, very rich Saudi guy, owned a lot of grocery stores. He was either very ignorant or very prejudiced, or a combination of thereof. Because I turned to him, I asked him, I said, how do I become a Muslim? I believe Islam is the truth. And he said, you can't become a Muslim. Your mother and father have to be Muslim. So I turned away from him. I said, I can't believe this guy's saying it. He sounds like a Jew, right? So I went to Nabil. I said, this guy over here is telling me I can't become a Muslim unless my mother and father are Muslims. Is this true? He goes, no, who said that? So he walked over, just started, Arabic. I said, wait a minute, I didn't want to start any trouble here, right? So I said, just, I don't want to be a problem or anything. So, but even after that, after Allah gave me hidayah, I did not know what was going on, because, they weren't kind of telling me how to become Muslim. What I realized was Nabil was trying to find an American, who was a convert, or somebody else who knew to speak English well, and has known anything about this, because they've never seen a convert. They've never seen someone convert or revert, if you will, uh, to Islam. So they didn't know if there was some kind of special ceremony or what was going on. So it's actually about 2 months later before I took Shahada. One brother from Boston, Abdul Badi, mashallah, super pious Muslim, uh, came up to Manchester, New Hampshire, and I was at Mohammed's. Nabil called and said, we have an American Muslim. Drove up from Boston. He's here to talk to Mikhail. So I Mohammed had a hard time keeping up with me when I ran over to the brother's apartment. Actually, I'm sorry, it was a musalla, because they had a rented apartment that they used to pray in. And I used to sit there too, and watch them pray and stuff. Which is another interesting thing, because when I saw them first praying, I said, man, you didn't catch me dead praying like that. But mashallah, Allah gives you iman, and now you don't care. So I ran to the apartment. Muhammad close behind me, opened the door, and there he was. The guy, similar to the guy in my dream. SubhanAllah. Beard. And I said to him, the funny thing that I said, you'll probably find this funny, but I said, this guy looks like a prophet. Because which reflecting back, like Christmas time, we're going to church and stuff. I would wear, like in the Christmas plays at church, I would wear the dishdasha and things, and I always thought deeply about those things. I don't know why. It's always in the back of my head. So anyway, Abdul Badiak stood up and walked toward me and shook my hand, and so mashallah, he basically told me about Islam. Basically, told me about the angels, and the do's and don'ts, generally speaking, of the things you try to stay away from, and things we're supposed to do, which is praying, zakat, and things like that. And then basically, took my hand. I recited the Fatiha after him, and then the Kalima after him, and then I went and took a shower, and mashallah, that's how I became a Muslim. In a combination with that, an interesting thing happened. When I took Shahada, I told myself, look, I believe in Prophet Muhammad, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I still have in my head that Jesus is the Son of God. I never believed he was God, but I said, I still think it's in my head, I still think he's a Son of God. So he said, don't worry about that. Allah will take care of that. Learn your small surahs, learn how to, make salah, sali, and Allah will take care of that. 3 or 4 weeks later, he came up and he said, Mikhail, grab your bag and pillow. I said, okay. So I went and we're going to Ijtima in New York. And on our way down there, it was a beautiful sunny day. I was in the back of the car and looking up at the sky and stuff like that. And two things came to me, subhanAllah. One was a hurdle where when I was a Christian going to church, and we would go horseback riding or anything that had to do with being outside in nature. Although I loved nature, when people put it together, like religion and nature, or religion and having a good time, which to me enjoying nature was a good time. But when you're looking at a tree or a mountain, like in New Hampshire, it's very mountainous, and someone says something about God, it's like, well, you're down on my time, man. I was having a good time, Or it was a very strange psychological hurdle. But being in the back of that car with the brothers on my way to the Ijtima, thinking about that, I looking at the sky, blue sky, and the white clouds and the sun, at that time I put them together. The beauty came together from between the Creator and the creation, and I said, wow, that was like it just happened naturally. I didn't think about it. I didn't make an effort toward it. It just happened. And at the same time, not too long after that, I was thinking back to all of a sudden Jesus being God, and it was gone out of my head. It was just taken. And I knew that was, from Allah. Because I knew, Shaitan doesn't want you to stop thinking that, devil. So anyway, after that, you know, um, I one of the hurdles, a couple of hurdles I had in Islam was, like I told you, I was an artist. I drew a lot, and the thing that I drew were superheroes. So, muscles and this and that, and obviously faces and eyes and things like that. So after I became a Muslim, I bring my portfolio to the musalla, and when I bring to musalla, I kind of got the same reaction that I got from Muhammad the first time, kind of dull and void. So Nabil pulled me aside and said, Mikhail, this is haram in Islam. I said, what's haram? So you can't draw faces, and eyes and stuff. And it was actually my dream to draw from Marvel Comics, so that kind of cut my dream right in half. So, but mashallah, when you sacrifice for Allah, Allah, sacrifice things for Allah, Allah replaces it. And like I told you, I had just started Taekwondo, and since then I've been studying martial arts, and I've become very good martial artist. I've gone from Taekwondo, Kyoko Shinkai, uh, Shotokan Karate, Shiro Karate, Kenpo Karate, Ninjutsu from White Tiger School in PA, Kempo School in Cleveland. I mean, mashallah, I learned a lot, and mashallah, very, very happy with that. So Allah replaces things, mashallah. So, I used to play the piano because I was kind of a romantic, and I thought that singing and playing the piano would win the girls. So I kind of had to give that up too. But for some reason, that wasn't as hard. It took some time to stop listening to music because I remember going in Jamaat one time, and one brother gave a lecture where we really focused on the Quran, and basically at the end of the lecture, he kind of ended it by saying, you can't have music and Quran in your heart at the same time. So I kind of this is funny. I kind of went home and just threw out all my music and everything, and I said no more music, inshallah, Bismillah. And then I started having withdrawals, like I was a crackhead. I said I can't listen to something. So I went and bought like half of them back. So um, after that, I said, okay, I got to start small here, small steps, baby steps, right? So basically, I said, okay, inshallah, Fridays no music, huh? Because it's Jummah. So after that, I said, then I'll make it Monday because I'll probably fast Monday or whatever. So one day, 2 days a week, 3 days, and little by little, I accomplished quite a bit with that. But interesting, getting back to the music in New York. Uh, when I went there, I was asking the brother because I was never a prejudiced or racist person, but I was kind of worried about like how the black brothers can treat me. I never been to New York, and brother says, "Don't worry, Allah puts away with all that. Islam puts that aside. There's no colors in Islam and stuff like that." So I said, "Okay, inshallah, we'll see." So we got down in the masjid, and these two African American brothers greet us at the masjid. One gave me such a nice embrace that I was like, "Okay, I'm cool," because I'm like I was kind of stressed before. So mashallah. But they both took me downstairs, and they're showing me, ikrami muslimi, a lot of hospitality, and they're trying to show me how to make wudu. So one brother's showing me how to make wudu, and one brother's saying, no, but you can't use too much water. And the other brother's, no, he'll learn that later. Don't worry about that. Just let him, go back and forth. It was really fun. But they asked me, you know who the Manhattans are? And I said no. And they said, I said, they're a singing group, obviously, but they told me the name of the lead singer, and I said no, I didn't. I haven't really heard of them. The funny thing is, when I was 11, 12 years old, going to summer camp in New Hampshire, there used to be a speaker, whether it's on the beach or in the mess hall or in the soccer field or wherever you were playing the archery or whatever. So they played music like 24/7. So two of my favorite songs on the radio was from the Manhattans, "You Are My Shining Star," right, and then one from Paul McCartney. So, but that was like My Shining Star was like one of my favorite songs in the whole world. I could just listen to it forever. So they said, I said, well, what songs do they sing? And they said, well, My Shining Star. And I said, well, that's like one of my favorite songs in the world. And he said, well, that brother's coming here. He converted to Islam. I said, no way. Subhanallah. I listened to you when I was young, you know? Subhanallah, he was just coming down the stairs, mashallah, all dressed in sunnah. And, the brother said, just hum this song. Just hum it. So the brother knows it's you, you know? And he did. I was like, wow, man. Subhanallah. But this brother went upstairs and made the most beautiful adhan I ever heard. Life without Islam, before and after, let's say, dead and alive, really. Although before Islam, Allah guide you. Like now, being a Muslim, I can see back my pre-Islamic life where Allah put certain things and hurdles and decisions that I made to prepare me to accept the Shahada, to accept Islam. Like for example, when I was real young, I decided I'm not gonna drink alcohol. You know, so I always thought this is wrong. And other little things that happened in my life where these steps and stages and hurdles I got over led me up to the point where I became Muslim, which um, Allah made me a good human being. I think you know um, before Islam, so I would recognize that Islam is the truth because Islam is beautiful, and Islam wants beautiful human beings in it. You know, and you know I always loved the creation of Allah and um, the beautiful things Allah created. And I was always appreciative. I always would lay out on my roof at night at my home, my foster parents' house. There was a section we had a third floor, and there was a section of the second floor we could just walk out on. So I would go out there many nights and stare up at the stars and wonder what's life. As God's greatest creation, mankind. Okay, we're not like animals. Animals eat when they want to, sleep when they want to, have sex when they want to. You know, they do everything they desire when they want to do it, when they desire it. But mankind, we have intellect, we have a conscience to tell us what is right and what is wrong. So, as God's greatest creation, mankind, we have the responsibility to find out three things. Three things: who's our Creator? What does He want from us? And how can we do it? Now I've told you my story. What is your story?